particularly in the business community.
The City of LA is a multi-billion-dollar economic engine, and only a small portion of that is going to local businesses.
This place, Mercado La Paloma, is an example of a successful Hispanic business model. About a dozen businesses, restaurants, arts and crafts stores, even a seamstress do brisk business here, especially during breakfast and lunch. Meanwhile, the Hispanic Business Summit continues in one of the rooms here, providing entrepreneurs with access to financing, business planning, and more.
A big focus right now for the administration is on exporting, because the reality is that 95% of the world's customers live outside of the United States, but only 1% of U.S. businesses are exporting. So we want to make sure that more of our businesses are exporting. It's great for our economy, number one. Number two, Latino business owners have a wonderful advantage in that they have their feet in both cultures.
Right now, I got a manufacturer in Mexico. This manufacturer is for artisans.
Arts and crafts?
Arts and crafts. I think so. For good business, I sell cheap. You buy cheap for me.
Other tips: draw up a business plan and assemble a team that includes a mentor, a lawyer, an accountant, and a banker who gets your business. A plan and some capital balanced with sound business practices just might turn that dream into an American success story. I'm Anna Marcos for LA This Week.
The Small Business Administration offers free advice and counseling on starting your own business. Visit them at sba.gov. While affordable housing and other programs could see a boost thanks to a $1 billion donation. As Gil Reyes reports, the grant coincides with a new study about community involvement.
One of the nation's most powerful charities promises to give in a big way.
We want to connect. We want to be part of something bigger.
The California Community Foundation promises to donate $1 billion to the city and county of Los Angeles. The payments to be spread out over 10 years. That's funding for early childhood education, health clinics, low-income housing, and the arts. That $1 billion announcement made here at LA's Huffington Center, where the California Community Foundation released the results of an eye-opening study. It said that 49% of poll respondents here in LA County would like to contribute more to their community, but simply don't have the time. And we're not talking monetary donations, but the cost-free giving of oneself through volunteering. The poll suggests nearly half of those polled want to volunteer but can't because they're simply too swamped. The poll sponsored by the California Community Foundation, the LA Times, and USC.
The sad confirmation of what I've already seen through my work, which is that because of traffic, because of so many commitments that people have, they would rather participate in online activism than actually going out and helping people or working with people.
The poll also found that most LA County residents don't trust local government, part of the reason why they're not participating in local elections. But LA Mayor Eric Garcetti cites another recent study conducted by Loyola Marymount University
that looks at the way people feel about city and county services. And that rose 15% this past year to a majority almost now of Angelenos who feel good about their government, which is, a pretty unique thing. We are still optimists.
The whole notion is to demystify government. People just don't know what the hell is going on with these governmental structures. If we make them more clear, people will participate.
And possibly give more of what they can. In South LA, Gil Reyes for LA This Week.
Nearly 40% of respondents also say they would like to participate in more local government, but don't know how to get involved. While there's a new homeless encampment growing on South LA streets, Councilmember Kern Price is reaching out to those homeless residents through Homeless Connect Day. Anna Marcos takes us there.
Homeless Connect Day in South LA has some people dancing in the street. And why not? People are lining up for the free haircuts, health screenings, dental exams, the cell phone service, housing services, and more.
It feels better, good,
This is just a labor of love. What it does is gives them a better outlook on themselves.
It's just one more step in the direction of, making them whole again and having them, be permanently housed and not looked at as, a piece of the property on the sidewalk.
Often it's the little things that matter, whether it's a nice haircut, some soap, conditioner, or deodorant. But this is also about the big things, like supportive housing, counseling, and HIV testing.
So I'm going to be conducting the test, and it's going to take 20 minutes to get you the results, okay?
Okay. Councilmember Curran Price and the Homeless Outreach Program in South LA have organized the event as they see a new tent city sprouting up here. There are almost 2,500 homeless people in this part of South LA, more than in any area except Skid Row.
I've been homeless for since February, and I've been staying different places with my daughter, sleeping in my truck.
Someone's like me. I'm homeless. I have my badge. I'm a veteran. I have my badge. I'm trying to get replaced, and it's just been a runaround. And that's, and it's not, and it shouldn't be like that.
Those are the individuals we're trying to reach out to, especially. Unfortunately, it's not just here in the 9th District, not just in South LA. It's a citywide disaster that we're attempting to deal with.
Meanwhile, Giovanni, fresh from his hair salon session, has scored some new clothes.
Pants and shoes and socks.
Why yellow shoes?
That's all they got,
First thing is thank you, America. I'm from India, and I got a purple shoe. And I'm so happy to get a purple shoe because purple is the color of peacock, and our peacock is our national bird. So I'm so happy.
For some, that's reason enough to celebrate. I'm Anna Marcos for LA This Week.
Dozens of homeless advocates and federal, state, and local agencies offered their services at the event. Well, he's one of the newest members on the LA City Council, and now Marqueece Harris Dawson is celebrating his first 100 days in office. Anita Bennett fills us in on what he's accomplished so far.
With a little mariachi music and a lot of excited residents, City Councilman Marqueece Harris Dawson kicked off a community celebration marking his first 100 days in office.
In 100 days, 107 alleys cleaned up completely. We've got some of them on the boards. 300 tons of trash picked up in 3 months.
Harris Dawson represents South LA, which includes Crenshaw, West Adams, and Lamert Park. During this recent gathering at Crenshaw High, he received a stamp of approval from Congresswoman Karen Bass.
This is just 100 days. I can't wait until we celebrate his first year in office and his first term in office, and I feel very confident that we are going to see the quality of life in the 8th District improve dramatically with Councilman Marqueece Harris Dawson.
And he was praised by Council President Herb Wesson for bringing a sense of camaraderie to City Hall.
This is the first time that the council members south of the 10 freeway get along. We love each other. We work together. We recognize that the things that you want, need, and expect, that we have to work together to ensure that you get them.
Harris Dawson's office has also launched a 311 campaign. It's meant to encourage residents to report problems like graffiti, and the community has responded.
Every month we've been in office, we've increased our calls by 2,000 or more every single month, so give yourselves a big round of applause.
Whatever he chooses to work on next, the councilman has already proven he wants to make city government more people-friendly for all residents. I'm Anita Bennett for LA This Week.
Councilman Harris Dawson also listened to ideas from residents on how to rebuild South Los Angeles. Well, firefighters rush to save students when an earthquake strikes a local school for the deaf. But it's only a drill, part of the great shakeout. As Gil Reyes reports, the hope is practice makes perfect.
These kids practice a drill that could save lives during a major quake. The catchphrase, drop, cover, and hold, reminds them to drop to the ground, take cover under a desk, and hold on till the shaking stops.
The practicing part of it, it might seem silly because we haven't had a major earthquake in so long, but if you don't practice, your instincts will take over when we do have an earthquake, and the instinct is to run, and that's the worst thing you can do. People are injured or killed running into or out of buildings. Over here.
The group MySafe LA teams up with the LA City Fire Department for this earthquake drill at Marlton School for the Deaf and Hard of Hearing. Adding to the challenge of rescuing kids with special needs, first responders worked under what's called a degraded mode, or limited resources. A skeleton crew is forced to respond quickly to problems throughout the entire campus.
Hey, can you hear me? Some rooms there was a fire, some rooms kids were trapped. So an overall thing was just what would happen if there was a large earthquake.
It's all part of the Great Shakeout. Millions practicing similar drills in classrooms worldwide. Here at Marlton, students get to put on horror makeup and play it up for the cameras. Firefighters escort the injured to the school's field where one child is lost.
Red, if someone's missing, get in the line for me, get in the line.
Better that mistakes happen now than during an actual emergency.
Are there lessons learned? Absolutely. Things we could do better next time? Absolutely. But overall, your Los Angeles Fire Department is completely prepared to handle even the most significant earthquake in the city.
In the Crenshaw district, Gil Reyes for LA This Week.
Similar shakeouts took place in several U.S. states this year, also in Canada, Italy, and Japan. Well, this is the mother of all beach cleanups. Once a year, people from around the world get to work tidying up our trashed beaches on Coastal Cleanup Day. Anna Marcos takes a look.
About a dozen or so volunteers are spending a sunny afternoon cleaning up what they love, our precious beaches. But the dozen volunteers are not alone. They are joined by 10,000 earth lovers all over California and more than 500,000 volunteers around the world for Coastal Cleanup Day.
I think the beach should be clean so people can come to the beach happy and not having to worry about their environment.
When you see someone cleaning at the beach, even though you're not cleaning up, it makes you think about your actions.
Heal the Bay is hosting 50 of the cleanup sites in the LA area, this one in Venice Beach. So what are the litter pickers finding most?
Cigarette butts. Lots and lots of plastic.
Studies show that cigarette butts are indeed the litter most often found on beaches. But let's not leave out plastics. Plastics make up as much as 80% of the debris found floating in the ocean.
We were able to highlight and identify some problem plastics, namely plastic bags and styrofoam. And cigarette butts. And what we did with that information that all these volunteers collected was we put some legislation and some regulations in place.
Today, the earth and our oceans are left a little happier as volunteers at beaches around the world clean up the trash others have left behind.
Throw your hands up in the air like you just don't care. Now, do it.
I'm Anna Marcos for LA This Week.
Heal the Bay, by the way, also holds local beach cleanups each month. While preserving a natural habitat in a popular Hollywood neighborhood, a multi-million-dollar investment that aims to connect LA communities and paying tribute to the Korean American culture. All these stories and more in City Beat. A fundraiser is underway to purchase 17 acres of open space wildlife habitat in Laurel Canyon for preservation and protection from potential development. Community groups have agreed to buy the land for $1.6 million if they can raise that amount. Once purchased, the groups plan to turn the land over to the Mountains Recreation and Conservation Authority. Council members Paul Koretz and David Rue were on hand at a press conference showing their support for the cause.
This is an opportunity that comes once in a lifetime. An opportunity to permanently preserve green space, protect the fundamental importance of wildlife habitats, and secure the future of our residential neighborhoods.
Mayor Eric Garcetti and County Supervisor Sheila Kuehl announced a joint investment of $6 million in the Los Angeles River Valley Greenway. The funding will make the project shovel-ready by enabling completion of design on 12 miles of gaps in its valley portion. Once completed, the Greenway will make it possible for Angelinos to walk and bike from Canoga Park to Elysian Valley. Mayor Eric Garcetti also made remarks recently at LA Trade Tech College for the final event of Hire LA's Youth, the City-County Summer Jobs Program, which aims to connect at-risk youth with job opportunities in the city, county, and public sector. Over the summer, 11,000 citywide jobs were created for LA's youth, more than doubling the amount of previous years. The county created another 10,000.
20,000 young people who learn the skills that they will need to succeed, who built the resume that they can take to employers, who understand the workplace and financial literacy.
The Korean American community came out recently for the 42nd annual Los Angeles Korean Parade. Hundreds of parade participants waved U.S. and Korean flags and marched down Olympic Boulevard from Vermont to Western Avenue in celebration of Korean heritage and culture. Mayor Eric Garcetti joined the festivities along with Councilmember David Ryu, who said the festival is a celebration of all immigrants.
It's an opportunity for the community, the Korean American community, to remember where we came from, all that we've achieved, and how much more we have to strive for.
Completing a process that began in 2009, 13th District Councilman Mitch O'Farrell joined recently with the Department of Recreation and Parks to welcome a brand new pocket park in Hollywood. Rich Samuels has the details.
It's a grand celebration in what was once one of the most park-poor places in the city.
You know, Hollywood was built up over the decades without really a concern or a thought at open space and parks. We need parks within walking distance of our communities, and Hollywood has a shortage of that. So we're changing that one neighborhood at a time.
Built with community input during the design process, the 8,000 square foot park, located on Carlton Way, just west of Bronson Avenue, includes a children's playground, accessible picnic tables, porch swings, security lights, and drought-tolerant landscaping. Fitness stations are also part of the mix, offering something for parkgoers of all ages. Thanks to the city and partners including the Trust for Public Land, what used to be a vacant lot is now a community centerpiece.
Trust for Public Land believes that everybody should be within a 10-minute walk of a park or open space, and Hollywood is one of the densest areas, and there were no parks in this area.
No parks, that is, until now. This is Rich Samuels for LA This Week.
Carlton Way Park is the 32nd new park to open in the city of Los Angeles as part of the 50 Parks initiative. Well, a Halloween experience that puts you to the ultimate test. Day of the Dead celebrations continue, and a rain shower that won't get you wet. All this in this week's Things to Do. On Halloween, experience Alone, an ongoing, site-specific, fully immersive, and existential experience that explores the range of human emotions. Alone invites you to take a pulse-pounding solo journey that's one part interactive theater and one part psychological haunting. Set off on a terrifying 30-minute walkthrough experience that you must complete entirely on your own, with no friend to cling to and only a flashlight to keep you from total darkness. It's only you, in the dark, alone. Presenting itself in a variety of configurations, Alone explores the complex folds of the human psyche. Check it out on November 1st at 1141 Seward Street. For tickets, visit thealoneexperience.com. Boyle Heights Self-Help Graphics and Art has presented this Day of the Dead celebration for over 4 decades. The event begins at Mariachi Plaza, where a handful of theater groups lead an animated procession to Felicitas and Gonzalo Mendez High School, where you'll find local food and craft vendors. The event begins at 3 p.m. on Sunday, November 1st. For more, visit selfhelpgraphics.com. And it's raining, but you won't get wet. Random International's Rain Room is an immersive environment of perpetually falling water that pauses wherever a human body is detected. The installation offers visitors an opportunity to experience what is seemingly impossible, the ability to control rain. Rain Room presents a respite from everyday life and an opportunity for sensory reflection within a responsive relationship. Random International is a collaborative studio that uses science and technology to create experiences that aim to question and challenge the human experience with a machine-led world, engaging viewers through explorations of behavior and natural phenomena. Rain Room opens at LACMA on Sunday, November 1st on the ground floor of the Broad Contemporary Building. For more, visit lacma.org. And that's a look at some things to do. Well, that's going to do it for this edition. I'm Yana Kay, and from all of us here at LA This Week, thanks for joining us. A reminder that you can catch us online at lacityview.org. You can also follow and like us on Facebook. We'll see you back here next week for more of LA This Week.
My daughter Miranda, and we live in Silver Lake. We love the cultural diversity of Los Angeles. You're watching LA City View, Channel 35. Our city, our channel.
Good morning and welcome to the Los Angeles City Council. Today is Wednesday, October 28th. I'm Mitchell Englander, and I'm grateful that you're all here and participating today. We are live on Channel 35 as well as streaming live on the internet. And if we can ask Mr. Clerk, please call the roll.
Blumenfield, Bonner, Buscaino, Cedillo, Englander, Fuentes, Harris, Dawson, Huizar, Koretz, Krikorian, Martinez, O'Farrell, Price, Rue, Wesson, 11 members present and a quorum, Mr. President.
Great, thank you very much. First order of business, Mr.
Approval
Clerk.
of the minutes.
All right, Mr. Bonnet moves, Mr. Buscaino seconds.
That brings us to commendatory resolutions for approval.
Okay, Councilmember Koretz moves and Councilmember Krikorian seconds.
Mr. President, there is a request to continue item 49 to November 10th, and further, there are requests to receive and file items 1D, 1E, 1G, 1I, and 1N, inasmuch as the liens have been paid, and to receive and file item 1Q, inasmuch as the lien has been rescinded by the Department of Building and Safety.
Okay, then that'll be the order without objection, colleagues. Next items, please. We have a request to hold, well, we'll get to that on 27 and 30, but we'll come to that in a moment. Okay?
Mr. President, items 1 through 22 are items noticed for public hearing.
Okay, those items are for public hearing. Do we have cards on those items?
Yes, sir. Cards on 1, 2, 11, 14, 17, and 22.
All right, members, do we have specials on any of the other items, members? Seeing none, we'll go ahead and open the roll on the balance of those items, close the roll, and tabulate the vote.
We have to give me a minute.
Hold on, she needs a quick second. Sorry, sir.
We'll keep the
And I
roll
gotta
open
click
for a
a
moment
lot of stuff.
while we
Okay.
catch up on the computer tally.
$11 ayes.
All right, those items are approved. Next items, please.
And, Mr. President, those ords will go over unless reconsidered later with 12 members.
Very well, Mr. Clerk. Thank you so much. You'll remind us of that.
Items 23 through 38 are items for which public hearings have been held. For item 25, the tabulated value of the opposing ballots cast, which was 21.35%, does not exceed the tabulated value of the supporting ballots cast, 78.65%. Therefore, a majority protest was not found to exist, and the proposed establishment of the Central Avenue Historic Business Improvement District may be authorized. Further, the Budget and Finance Committee reports for items 30 and 38 have been circulated.
All right, very well. Ms. Martinez.
Can I call item 27 special, Mr. President?
All right, 27 hold special for Ms. Martinez. Any other specials, colleagues?
Mr. President?
Yes.
Items 33 and 38 special, please.
33 and 38 per Councilmember Blumenfield. And we're going to hold 30 as well.
Item 28.
28 for Councilmember Rue. All right, no other items. We'll go ahead and open the roll on the remaining items, close the roll, and tabulate the vote.
11 ayes.
Okay, we're going to go ahead and move item 26 forthwith without objection, per my request.
Mr. President, that item does have an ordinance, and that will have to go over to November 10 unless reconsidered later with 12 members, sir.
Correct. So if we can reconsider that once we have 12, we'll send it forthwith. If not, it'll be held over. Thank you very much. Next items, please.
Mr. President, items 39 through 46 are items for which public hearings have not been held. 10 votes are required for consideration.
Okay, we'll go ahead and open the roll for consideration on those remaining items. Close the roll and tabulate the vote.
11 ayes.
Those items are now before us, colleagues. Do we have any specials on those items?
Yes, sir. We have cards on items 39, 40, 41, 42, and 46.
All right, that leaves items 43, 44, and 45. Colleagues, do we have any specials on those items? Those are also ordinances, so we'll go ahead and open the roll on those balance of those items. If we shall get 12 later, we'll reconsider those, but go ahead and open the roll, close the roll, and tabulate the vote.
11 ayes.
Those items are approved, carried over, unless we reopen and consider. Next items, please.
Mr. President, items 47 through 51 are items scheduled for closed session. Would you like to hold them on the desk?
Mr. Krikorian.
Thank you, Mr. President. Item number 48 will need to be considered in closed session. Items number 47, 49, 50, and 51 have been considered by the Budget and Finance Committee, which recommends approval of the City Attorney's recommendations. That can be done in open session unless members have questions or concerns.
Members, any specials on those particular items? Seeing none, we'll go ahead and open the roll on the balance of those items and hold 48.
Pardon me, sir. I should first read the recommendations
Yes,
into
please.
the record. And for the record, item 49 was continued to November 10 at the outset of today's meeting.
Very well.
For item 47, in the case entitled Hannah Emily No versus City of Los Angeles et al., there is a recommendation to expend $350,000 in settlement. In the case entitled Anit Yezagelian versus City of Los Angeles, there is a recommendation to expend $600,000 in settlement. And for item 51, in the case entitled Michael Leslie Productions DBA Ready Golf Center versus Board of Recreation and Parks, City of Los Angeles et al., there is a recommendation to expend $375,000 in settlement.
Okay, members, then those items are now before us. So we'll go ahead and open the roll on those items, close the roll, and tabulate the vote.
11 ayes.
Mr. Krikorian? Excuse me for 1 second. There's no applauding or shouting out or disrupting the meeting, Mr. Spindler. If you continue to do that, this will be a warning that you're disrupting the meeting, and you're going to be asked to leave the meeting. Thank you. Mr. Krikorian.
Forthwith on numbers 50 and 51, please.
50 and 51 forthwith request per Mr. Krikorian. That'll be the order without objection. Thank you very much, Mr. Krikorian. Okay, next items, please.
Mr. President, that takes council to presentations.
All right, I happen to have one. All right, if I can ask Mr. Weston to please step into the president's chair. Thank you. Try it out.
Okay, let us defer to Mr. Englander at this time. Mr. Englander, the floor is yours.
Come on over here. Right here. Stay right there. All right. Perfect. Now, anywhere you want. Come on up. Thank you, Mr. President and colleagues. Today, as they're all piling in here behind me, I am joined, this is spectacular, the Youth Ambassador Student Exchange Program. Today, I'm so proud to have the Youth Ambassador Exchange Program here, sponsored by the American Israel Friendship League in council and joining us today. The Youth Ambassador Student Exchange Program is the world's most innovative global education program. It began in 1977 when 30 students from New York City High School traveled to Israel for a month-long stay arranged by the League. Today and to date, over 4,500 American and Israeli high school students from over 60 cities have participated in this incredible program. The Youth Ambassador Student Exchange is a 4-week educational program where students actually travel here to Los Angeles, to New York, to Washington, D.C., and to Israel to appreciate, to understand, to accept, and learn about all the different cultures. Our Granada Hills Charter High School Youth Ambassadors come from all walks of life and represent diverse cultural backgrounds. Each Youth Ambassador family will actually host an Israeli exchange student, and they will stay with the Israeli student's family then in Israel. They will experience everyday life from home hospitality and meet and participate in local community and civic programs. Through this program, the Youth Ambassadors experience become the basis of an appreciation of the differences in people and their ways of life. So this launched and started, in fact, last week, where we had the Israeli students come here last Thursday. This is a very competitive program. Thousands of high school students apply. They have to go through essay writings and interviews and oral interviews and letters of recommendation. It's extremely competitive, highly challenging, and incredibly motivational for everybody that participates. So I want to introduce the students first. Our Israeli students that showed up here last Thursday, they leave tonight at 4 o'clock in the morning to go to Washington, New York, and then back to Israel. And then with them, they bring our American students along. From Israel, we have Dean and Ben, Joshua, Joey, Noah, Judy, Leah, and Imbar. Let's give them a huge round of applause. Our American students with us today that are leaving on this journey are Samuel, Danielle, Leonardo, Pedro, Jenna, Janisa. Did I get that right? Okay. And Ijeoma. And last but not least, my daughter, Lauren Englander, who's also participating in the program. I also want to let's give them all a round of applause. Hashtag so proud. Special thanks to our Israeli chaperone, Michael, and to Marilyn, our community outreach coordinator from Granada Hills Charter High School, for making this truly special for the kids. And I'd like to bring up Michael to say a few words. And if I could, please, thank you.
Thank you very much. My name is Michal. I'm the Israeli group leader of this amazing group of students. We are very thankful to be here. We are very thankful to be in Granada Hill Charter School and in this city hall. So in behalf of all the Israeli students, on behalf of the municipality of Ra'anana, we want to thank you for having us. We had a lovely last week. We're looking forward to having the last week in the United States, and looking forward to having all the American students in Israel in our homes and showing them our country and our town. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. And let me just share with you, because I know what these kids are going through, not only with what they're about to experience, but the journey that led them here. As my daughter came home one day and told me about the program, Lauren said that she was interested and eager to apply. We knew they were only selecting just a few students, and it was going to be very, very competitive. In fact, she said, I'm going to give it my all, but there's probably very slim chance that I'll get in. She wrote the essay, she got letters of recommendations, she went into the interviews, and waited for the phone to ring. Waited for that Friday phone call, and called me crying when she got accepted. And I know all the students have been on pins and needles on the edge of their seat while they're waiting for that acceptance phone call. These are the ones that made it through, that are going to have an experience of a lifetime, one that they will share for generations. And I'm so proud of each and every one of them, and that we welcome them not only into our home, and it's been an honor to have Judy stay with us for the last week as well and get to know her, but to have all the students into our home here in the city of Los Angeles and the City Hall. And want to thank all of you for your hospitality as well. Thank you so much.
Let's give them a round of applause.
All right, we're going to take all you guys to the back. Do you have any personal belongings here? Yes. Okay, go grab them, and we'll bring you to the back.
My headphones.
You can collect your belongings and then come over this.
Okay, Mr. Clerk, we have over 12 members. Why don't we vote on reconsideration of the ordinances?
Yes, sir.
You want to identify them?
Very good, sir. Those would be items 3 through 10, 12, 13, 15, 24 through 26, and 43 through 45.
Okay, the first vote is on reconsideration. Let's open the roll, close the roll, tabulate the vote.
14 ayes.
Okay, now let's vote on the ordinances themselves. Let's open the roll, close the roll, and tabulate the vote.
14 ayes.
And, Mr. President, there's a request to send item 26 forthwith.
Without objection, that'll be the order. Okay, I've been informed, Mr. Clerk, that we need to reconsider item 31. So let's vote on reconsideration. Let's open the roll, close the roll, tabulate the vote.
14 ayes.
Okay, and we'll just hold that for a bit. So now let's deal with item 33. Let us open the roll, close the roll, tabulate the vote. Yours. Okay, we're going to do items 11. Item 11, Mr. Murphy. Wait. Item 33 we have to vote on again. So let's open the roll, close the roll, tabulate the vote.
14 ayes.
Okay, now I want to call Mr. Murphy forward. We're going to do item 11, and then we'll do item 17.
Yes, good morning. Item 11 is another item I'm supporting.
Okay, just stay there, Sean. On item 11, let's open the roll, close the roll, tabulate the vote.
14 ayes.
Now we'll move on to item 17.
Item 17 is another item I'm supporting.
Thank you. Okay, on that item, let's open the roll, close the roll, tabulate the vote.
14 ayes.
At this point, I'd like to defer to Mr. Fuentes.
Hey, guys. Ready? All right, come on, stand with me. Come on. Come on, right here. Sylvia, how are you? Come on and stand with us. We're going to put the display up? Yeah, go ahead and do that. Okay, perfect. Very good. Good morning, colleagues. How's everybody doing this morning?
Everybody's great. Let's pay attention to these Mr. Fuentes and his guests. Can I have some silence in here?
Thank you, Mr. President. I am excited and honored to be standing here with you today with these robotic nerds. Now, Mr. Harris Dawson and Mr. Bonin and Ms. Martinez, I'm sure when we were all in school, Mr. Rue, very good. Nerds was not something that you wanted to be called. But today we embrace it, and we embrace it at Pacoima Charter, and we do it because these young, bright minds are helping us innovate the future. And let me tell you a little bit about the robotic nerds of Pacoima Charter Elementary School. Pacoima Charter will represent proudly the Northeast San Fernando Valley this Sunday at the very first LEGO League Los Angeles qualifying tournament. It's going to be taking place at the Milken Community School in West Los Angeles. 349 schools in our great city will compete for 70 spots, and they will move on to the next level if they're successful. But the first LEGO League combines science, technology, engineering, mathematics, as we affectionately call it, as STEM, but they do it in a way with friendly competition. Now, Sylvia Fajardo, where's Sylvia? Raise your hand, is an amazing, amazing principal, has really turned around that school, and they're doing tremendous things. But amongst those things, they're fighting hard to bring more STEM-type activities to the school. Now, these robotic nerds, the team consists of Paul Campos. Raise your hand when I say your name there, and make sure you can be seen, young man. Paul Campos, Lisbeth Delgado, Alicia Hyung, Vanessa Madrigal, Julio Martinez, and Joel Pineda. Very good. And they give them a round of applause. I want you to see what kind of impact you're having on my colleagues. This is the most attention that they pay. Now, they're led by a tremendous, tremendous teacher named Sergio Millan. Where's Sergio? He's putting together the thing. You're going to hear from him in a second. But the team, what they're doing amongst sacrificing their time at this Friday's school's Halloween parade, they're going to skip that because they're getting ready for this competition. These young people are going to do battle, and they're doing it with the EV3 robot using Lego's Mindstorms. Now, if everyone can focus their attention to the center there, in a couple of seconds here, you're going to see a real live demonstration of what it is that these battles will consist of. But we're going to go ahead and have Sergio, our teacher who's leading this great group of young minds, say a few words. Give him a round of applause.
Thank you, Ms. Fuentes. My pleasure. All right. Good morning, everybody. My name is Sergio Millan. As you heard, I'm from Pacoima Charter School. I'm the Robotic Nerds coach and the technology integration instructor there. Councilmember Fuentes, thank you very much for having us here. Council President and members, the students and I were really excited about coming here today. They have a very important message for you and a solution to a problem that they've thought a lot about. Sunday, as you heard, we're going to be in a competition, so we're getting ready. We have up until this Friday to do a lot of work and complete a lot of the missions that you're going to see displayed today in a limited way. And it has been a tremendous honor to work with these robotic nerds. I'm very inspired to be their coach, and they continue to inspire me every day as I see them tackle problems and real-world problems as well. Before the robotic nerds present and take the podium, run their field tests, as you will see in a moment, I want to also thank Ms. Fajardo, our principal, parents for being here. Thank you very much for all of their support. And let's get to the real reason they're here. Let's have them show you a little bit of what they're going to be working on very soon. So with all due respect here, you guys go ahead and go to the front now, do your presentation. Go right here.
Who's going to speak?
In a moment, they'll come back.
Okay.
All right, go ahead, guys. Nice and loud. Okay, come back here if you're speaking. Go to the table.
All right.
More than 1 million batteries were sold last year in the city of Los Angeles. Only 60,000 were disposed of properly. We need to do more to protect our land, air, and water.
Members of the council, thank you for what you have done to curb e-waste and illegal battery disposal, and thanks to the DPW, the Los Angeles Public Library, and other partners like Jiffy Lube and Target. But we, the robotic nerds, have a solution to offer you.
Our solution is simple. One small gray plastic container for all residents of LA. Residents can throw away their e-waste and batteries, and container can be picked up by a special truck, just like the ones or similar to the ones that pick up the green, blue, and black bins that we currently have.
Now we will demonstrate what we will do in the robotics competition this coming Sunday.
Hang on one second. So because of the limited time, we don't have a full setup, but we laid out a few of the very same models that they're going to be working with again this Sunday. So here's the commentator here for you guys. As soon as you're ready, you guys can go ahead and begin. Okay?
My team member Joel is running the valuables mission, which he has to try to grab the valuables from safety. And as you can see, we're using the ultrasonic sensor, which is
on the bottom of the EV3 so it could detect a wall and turn. My next teammate is Vanessa, which she is running her toy factory mission.
Turning it. She needs about 10 more seconds here to turn it on. Or if the other one's on, you can turn it. Huh? Okay, yeah. They just turned them on, and so they're getting going. Go ahead and explain what's on the field as best we can here.
These missions are similar to the things that similar to real world technology and factories and machines. And she is not done, but we have only until Friday to finish the missions, so we could be ready for Sunday. My next team member, Alicia, is going to run her program, the Careers Mission. This sorting machine is similar to the one that we saw in waste management, thanks to Lily Lee. And she has to get the little people inside the sorting area so she could sort all the material. She is the first and only one done with her mission. As you can see, she's sorting the material, and the sizes go into each bin based on the size of the yeah.
Go ahead and do the closing now. The last thing they're going to do is just do their cheer, and they're also going to say a core value that they have been practicing throughout these weeks as they do the closing here.
We share experiences with others. We know our cultures and mentors don't have all the answers. We have fun.
Give them a big round of applause, everybody. How exciting is our future, my fellow nerds? And I think I heard an idea for a motion, Mr. Kokore, and it looks like you were eyeing me the second there for the e-waste bin. This is a tremendous project. Lily Lee is here from Waste Management. She made sure that they got the notoriety that they deserve. Give Sylvia Fajardo, the parents of Pacoima Charter, and Mr. Millan a big round of applause, colleagues. Thank you.
Mr. Fuentes, this was cool. These are nerds that are cool. I see you're gonna present some members. Why don't we take a 2-second recess? Everybody put on your glasses and let's go up front and take a photo with our robotic nerds.
There we go.
Should be in there.
Put it on the table.
Thank you for wearing the glasses. Of course.
The Urkel classic.
Right? Did you say that?
No.
Who said it? Oh.
There's a block. Yeah, there's a block.
They call it all.
Morning.
Urkel, that was great. Wow.
We're going to go to item 14 for cards. I got a card from Mr. John Walsh. John Walsh, item 14. Members, one more time, let's give the young people a round of applause. They're the future. Come on, don't be a jerk in front of the kids.
Number 14. I'm going to bring some toys next time.
Stay on the item.
Okay, relative to the improvement of the Sunset Boulevard and Gower Street lighting in the district, that's about 3 or 4 blocks from where I live. The lighting there is very good for rapes. As you know, this is an area where women are raped and where drugs are sold. And I just want to say on behalf of all the drug dealers who use the Sunset Boulevard, Gower Street area, the lighting is very good. And if there's anybody here in the room who wants to buy some heroin, just and you want to check it out before you buy it to make sure it's good heroin, the Sunset Boulevard and Gower Street Lighting District is the place to go for well-lit drug deals. HollywoodHighlands.org.
Okay, let us prepare to vote on this item. Let's open the roll, close the roll, tabulate the vote.
14 ayes.
That'll bring us to item 40. Mr. Spindler, item 40.
Street lighting. Yeah. Hey, kids. So, today's schedule has item number 40. Oh, good. Street lighting. Yay, that's good for kids. CD6 is a Nuri district. So Nuri likes street lighting from Stagg Street to Troost. It's important because when you go to CD6 and you buy a stolen handgun...
No, you're not on that subject, Mr. Spindler.
You need to have lighting, street lighting, only 2,235. Well, since I got interrupted, vote no on the street lighting, and most of all, do not buy stolen guns. Thank you.
You're off the subject. I will warn you. That's your warning. Let's prepare to vote on this item. Let's open the roll, close the roll, tabulate the vote.
13 ayes.
Ms. Martinez, we're going to do 27, item 27.
The amendment has been circulated, Mr. President. Thank you. I want to thank my colleague, Mr. Weezer, for introducing this motion with me. As you all know, Prop D is a unique and one-of-a-kind proposition. There is no other city that's dealing with this kind of proposition. But as we've heard in committee, this also makes this issue very complicated. But however, what should be simple is that the city stands on non-compliant marijuana dispensaries. There is no reason why the city should be issuing new BTRCs to businesses that are not Prop D compliant. While on one hand we're closing them down, on the other hand we're issuing BTRCs to illegal dispensaries. And just to be clear, these are not licenses to operate, so we shouldn't be collecting money on them. Colleagues, this is not about money. It's about doing the right thing for communities and respecting the law that was passed by the voters. We cannot continue to send the wrong message about our stance on non-compliant dispensaries while my residents, as I'm sure as many as yours, have to pay the cost of blight. It's simply not okay. I want to make sure that by enforcing what the voters passed, that we are providing access to medical marijuana and not blight. And we need to send a clear and forceful message that the city will not tolerate non-compliant dispensaries. This is why today, Councilmember Weezer and I have introduced this amendment on recommendation number 1 of the Budget and Finance Committee. That is to remove the words or any new MMDs and add at the end of that sentence to instruct the Office of Finance to discontinue of issuing new BTRCs to MMDs. I ask for your support on this amendment.
Okay, now before I call the next member, which Mr. Marquise Harris Dawson is you, we do have some public comment. I'd like to get that out of the way first, if that's okay. So I have a Daniel Curry, a Sarah Armstrong, and Brian Barajas, and Eric Previn. Okay, public comment is closed on this item. Go on, sir.
Hello, my name is Daniel Curry. I'm speaking today on behalf of UFCW Local 770. As you may know, we represent the employees who work at Prop D compliant medical marijuana dispensaries. Our goal is to ensure the survival of the good jobs created by Prop D compliant stores and that the will of the voters who enacted Prop D is carried out and enforced. This measure, I'm speaking in support of this measure, and this measure will ensure that the city does not endorse illegal dispensaries with a BTRC. I think this is a simple solution by not providing any BTRCs to new MMDs, and I urge the council to pass this motion. Thank you.
Please just come forward.
Good morning. My name is Sarah Armstrong. I'm the Director of Industry Affairs for Americans for Safe Access, the nation's largest collection of patients, researchers, doctors, and others seeking safe access to medical cannabis on behalf of our membership. Today we're here to endorse Ms. Martinez's new amendment. We think it's a wonderful idea. We believe that once you make it clear to people who are acting in an unauthorized manner in the city, that they will begin to retrench and pull back from the wholesale practice of hiding behind city documents to try and fool the public, particularly the sick and dying who are medical cannabis patients, that they are in fact endorsed by the city and exist because of the city's largesse. I hope that you will make every effort to restrict the yellow 5-0s to those who were here and operating as of November 17, 2007. They are those who are eligible for limited immunity, and the city should support the idea that it does not help illegal activity. Thank you.
Okay, Mr. Previn, Mr. Barajas, please.
Thank you, Council President Wesson. This is, of course, the Prop D issue that we've been studying carefully since I think 2013 when it was pushed through. The voters decided that 135 dispensaries could remain open and doing business for the medical marijuana community, but that everybody else was not going to be in compliance. Now, anybody who's been to Studio City will know that you can not take 15 steps without bumping into a dispensary, and many of them are fancy. We have some upscale dispensaries, quite frankly. Some of them are way more upscale than the older dispensaries. And so I just wonder, when the council considers these kinds of things, if they, like when we look at, for example, Uber and Lyft and that approach where, hey, let's make a market that's lots of choice, so that, for when you're leaving the airport, nobody likes talking about how we want choice more than Bonin, for example, and I even think Krikorian tried to balance the taxis there. But here what we have is 135 folks who are well entrenched and have been supporting. We do have the Prop D problem of they're all over the place, but this is a Weezarb. This is a classic, no more new ones. Well, how many thousands do we have now, sir? I mean, has anybody even been able to count? I'm not even sure. I mean, I trip over them in my district, but that's because we have there are people who can buy the good stuff, and I think I don't know if they like it or not, the choice, but it is quite a nice choice. And we've done other things to facilitate the growth of this business. Like in Studio City, we have a group called H2O. I hope that they'll get considered for the biotech ordinance that my friends at the county are bringing forward. This is a group that makes, I believe it's e-cigarettes that, now, fair enough, they don't only ingest the good stuff, they also ingest the weird fruity stuff that I'm not a big fan. I don't know about coconut or this kind of thing. This is for different kinds of smokers, sir. I, like you, was a cigarette smoker years ago, but I cut it, as did Koretz and all the baseball players. Tobacco we're looking down on it, and we're looking down on marijuana, except for where it's helping people. And, sir, I think I'm off the item. Do you agree? Thank you.
Hey, Mr. Barajas.
Okay. Now, there's a report by RT entitled Marijuana-Related Deaths, Suspensions, and Problems Spike in Colorado report. This report was put out by a federal agency entitled Rocky Mountain High Intensity Drug Trafficking Area. And what they reported in this 166 page is from the period of 2006 all the way to this year, the rates of fatalities, the rates of suspension of kids, the rate of drug trafficking, marijuana, in other 33 states has increased. And you're taking a stance on item 27, which endorses the use of marijuana. Now, I don't care what position anybody has on marijuana, but it is not some sort of medical usage and this and that. It's not. It is a way to kill and murder a population because they cannot afford the medicines that can actually help them. Now, either you get rid of this item because the facts are there. It does more harm to the community. But the only reason why I see you will promote something like this is due to the money. So kill the people as you make the money. That does not make sense.
Okay, let's move now to Mr. Harris Dawson.
Thank you so much, Mr. Chair. I just want to rise to support Council Members Martinez and Huizar for bringing this forward. This is one of the most insulting things that happens to everyday people throughout our city, but especially in District 8. The idea that the city would in any way cooperate with a business that the voters went to the polls specifically to make illegal at a time that we have such low voter turnout, and we're complaining that people don't vote, and then they go to the polls and they actually pass something that's meaningful that they expect to make a difference in their life, and then we find out that any of our departments, I mean, I have trouble figuring out how they get water and power in these places since they're so openly illegal, much less a certificate to, in fact, pay taxes. And so I'm asking everybody to support this motion, and I hope the public sees that the City Council is actually taking action on this matter.
Thank you. Mr. Buscaino.
Thank you, Mr. President. Thank you, colleagues, for this effort here, an effort that I led in motion 14-0366-S1. Myself, Mr. Englander, drafted a motion seeking a way to get rid of these business tax licenses to these illegal operators. I want to thank Ms. Martinez, Mr. Huizar, for partnering with us on this issue. And with this action before us, colleagues, we will have an opportunity to easier enforce and actually further the spirit of Prop D and therefore effectuate the will of the people of the city. By mandating that medical marijuana dispensaries certify under penalty and perjury that they are compliant with Prop D and clarifying with the public and the businesses themselves that their business tax registration certificate doesn't mean that they're necessarily compliant with the law. We inhibit the rampant fraud that these illegal businesses have used to disguise themselves as legal enterprises to further other business interests. And with this council action today, we're creating more transparency in the marketplace by inhibiting this fraud. This action, frankly, doesn't make sense. This frankly doesn't make sense to say that a business, they are illegal on one hand and then send a message to the legitimacy by giving a business license to those who are seeking to open up an illegal pot shop in our city. By having the Office of Finance share its data with the City Attorney's Office and with LAPD, we make it easier for our enforcement arm to actually find these illegal operators quicker and more efficiently. In my district alone, 29 illegal pot shops were shut down, 2 have been ordered closed, and we have 1 criminal case pending. Now, if we would have had this action in place, we wouldn't have had to use resources from the City Attorney's Office, from the LAPD, and a few times the DWP, who have been very helpful shutting down the water and power at these illegal dispensaries. So I'm happy to see this move forward. We have waited far too long for this action before us. Really appreciate the guidance and the leadership for this council to let these individuals know that, you know, if you're going to follow the will of the people per the Proposition D that was passed overwhelmingly by the voters of the city. Thank you.
Mr. Koretz.
Thank you, Mr. President, and thank you to Ms. Martinez, Mr. Huizar, Mr. Buscaino, and everyone who's been involved with this. This is such a common sense measure. We've had an unbelievable practice that has had everyone shaking their heads about the fact that we issue these licenses that appear to lend legitimacy and work against ourselves as we try to shut down the illegal, non-Prop D compliant places. This is a great step in the right direction. It's been a long time in coming. It had all of us scratching our heads as to why we weren't doing this yet, but it's about time. So, colleagues, I'm pretty sure despite the fact that we had very divergent views on medical marijuana, that we all agree on this one, and I hope we'll get a unanimous vote.
Thank you, Mr. Koretz. Mr. Huizar.
Thank you, Mr. President. First, I want to thank Ms. Martinez for her latest leadership on this issue, Mr. Buscaino and others who worked on this. The fact of the matter is that we have before us is a cat and mouse game with illegal dispensaries who quickly pop up, make a quick profit, and it takes a little while for our law enforcement, our city attorney to gather the evidence and impose due process before we shut them down. The illegal dispensaries know that, so they go in, make a quick buck, and run out. Meanwhile, our council offices and our city get calls about these illegal dispensaries and what we can do to shut them down, because the illegal ones are the ones that are most likely to cause problems in our neighborhoods. Those that have fit in through Measure D are the ones that know what the rules are. They've been in this battle with us for 5 years and are most likely to not allow individuals to smoke in front of the premises, to allow disruption in the local communities. And so with this, I think is going to be yet one more tool to help expedite the closing of those illegal dispensaries. Now, let's be clear, however, this is not going to end the cat and mouse game for us. We have to do other things that will allow us to shut down those illegal dispensaries. But here, when they sign under penalty of perjury that they are in fact a Measure D compliant dispensary, it would give the city attorney and LAPD another tool in enforcing against the illegal dispensary. So thank you for those who have worked on this, and thank you to our Budget and Finance Committee who moved this quickly. And I also ask that we support Ms. Martinez's amendment today as well. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. O'Farrell.
Thank you, Mr. President. Any dispensary operators out there that are operating that are not Prop D compliant are engaging in illegal activity that is harming our neighborhoods. I want to thank Councilwoman Nury Martinez for shining a spotlight on this travesty, and the amazement in the fact that the Office of Finance was unwittingly engaging in aiding and abetting this criminal activity by issuing business tax licenses was quite shocking, I think, to all of us. And now that we can actually shut that down and make sure that, on the one hand, the city isn't advocating for safer neighborhoods by cracking down on the non-compliant dispensaries, and then on the other hand, actually encourage them to operate. It's kind of shocking that is what was happening. So I'm really, really appreciative of the leadership of you, Mr. Huizar, and you, Ms. Martinez, and Joe Buscaino, and everyone else who has helped bring this to the attention, to the fore here. I know that in my own district, since taking office, working with the City Attorney's Office in Building and Safety, we have shut down every non-compliant dispensary in my district. Even then, there are a few compliant dispensaries that are still causing plenty of trouble. And make no mistake about it, we're going to go after you if you're not compliant to the letter of the law in terms of the way you're conducting your business in the neighborhoods. So we've made a great strides, I think, across the city, and this will put to an end this, what I call a travesty. And again, I thank you, Nury, for shining a spotlight on this situation. And I look forward to a unanimous vote. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Bonin.
Thank you, Mr. President. I too rise to urge that this be approved, and as well as the amendment by Ms. Martinez. Let me state very clearly, I'm a very strong supporter of medical marijuana. I think medical marijuana is important for people to have access to. My predecessor would not be alive, but for the benefit of medical marijuana. But the voters approved a smart scheme to regulate medical marijuana in the city of Los Angeles. And Measure D set out guidelines and said there were certain dispensaries that were legal and the rest of them were not. And it set out guidelines of where they could be and where they couldn't be. And I think it has been baffling to the average resident of Los Angeles, defying common sense, they would say, that the city is issuing business tax registration certificates to businesses that are not legal. We have heard in committee several times, Office of Finance say we're not in the business of determining what's legal and what's not. I've always said that I would hope that if someone walked into the Office of Finance and said they wanted a license to, or a certificate for their business selling crystal meth or heroin, or for selling shark fins, or for being a pimp, that someone would have a moment of pause and say, I don't think we should be doing this. And the same situation is the case here. There are certain things which we have said are legal, certain things which are not. There is a clear list from the city attorney of what the compliant Prop D establishments are, and if you're not on it, you shouldn't be getting a certificate. So I'm very happy with the report from Budget and Finance Committee and the request that we require that all businesses sign under penalty of perjury, but I also support Ms. Martinez's motion, which goes a step further and directs Office of Finance not to issue them in the first place. So thank you.
Ms. Martinez to close.
Thank you, members, for all those who spoke in favor. I also, in closing, would like to thank LAPD and the City Attorney's Office, who've been doing an amazing job following up with all of our districts, ensuring that these non-compliant marijuana dispensaries are shut down as soon as possible, and that we uphold the intent of the law. So thank you very much, and I ask for an aye vote.
Thank you. Okay, members. Madam Clerk, if you'd open the roll, close the roll, and tabulate the vote.
13 ayes.
Mr. Blumenfield, you want to move forward with 31?
Great. Thank you, Mr. President. 31, on its face, is not a controversial one, although it went through my committee, my TCT committee, without any problem. And it has to do with the leasing of ATS, which deals with the taxi services. But I read an article yesterday or the day before that got me so incensed about what was happening vis-a-vis the taxi distribution at the airport that my first reaction was, I got to hold this item until we figure out this problem. What's up here? Now, since then, thinking about it, this is a time-limited item, so I'm not going to end up holding this up, but I wanted to raise it here, and I'm offering a motion. And what I'm talking about, now ATS, the responsibility of them is to provide a means for self-discipline of taxi operators, and they distribute. They organize where the taxi operators go. The article I'm talking about was in The Atlantic, and it was written by ESPN commentator David Granville. He had just landed at LAX when he and a colleague went to get a cab. Just as they were about to get in, the driver looked at Glanville, who happens to be African American, and he told him, no cab for you, hop on a bus. He tried it several times, and he was clearly being denied because of his race. And if that wasn't bad enough, then one of the airport employees came up and said to him, you should report this. This is the third time I've seen this happen today. Indicating it's not just happening to a celebrity, but it's happening routinely at our airport. And this is our airport. I mean, this is unacceptable anywhere in the city. But at our airport, which we control and we give licenses to, it is completely unacceptable. We, as a city, embrace diversity. It's our strength. And this is just completely unconscionable. So I have a motion, which I'm putting forward today, which is going to ask LAWA for an action plan on remedy, to see what the immediate steps are. But I wanted to call up Mr. Mark Adams from LAWA to give us a report on what's happening. And as I said, I was very tempted to even stop this item because it's allowing the taxi service this lease program. But because this lease is part of our larger efforts at the airport, it would end up hurting our city to stop this lease from going forward. But I do want us to make sure we're taking swift and severe action to prevent this from happening. No one should be denied service. It's illegal in the city of Los Angeles to deny service for any reason, and obviously for race is the worst reason. So, Mr. Adams.
Thank you, Council Member. Yes, LAWA has jumped on this once we've learned of the complaint and taken, I think, swift and appropriate action. Our taxi agreements at LAX prohibit denial of service on any grounds. And we take that very seriously. The event detailed by Mr. Glanville is, frankly, unacceptable, and we are looking into it. As of yesterday, we had pulled the security video of the taxi stand, and had verified much of what Mr. Glanville said is, in fact, accurate from from the video records. We don't have audio records of the taxi stands, but we can see that there was in fact a denial of service. And we are, the driver is coming in for an administrative hearing this week. And I don't want to guess what the results of that will be, but the hearing is specifically to deal with this particular denial of service. We have gone through the ATS complaint records. We have gone through our own complaint records. We have gone through the ATS administrative records looking for patterns of this. Have not seen that, but what the employee who wasn't a LAWA employee but we see her on the video. We're trying to identify who that is, but we will be looking at trying to see if there is a pattern here that needs to be addressed, and we are working with ATS on a corrective action plan to make sure that nothing like this ever happens again. And a letter, we've spoken with Mr. Glanville, and a letter of apology has gone out to him.
Right. And obviously it's not just about Mr. Granville. This is, if it can happen to somebody, as famous and well known as him, it's frightening to think that it's happening across the board. So I appreciate that response. We will be following that up with a motion to get the action plan and to be reviewed by the TCT committee and then by this council. And I'm going to ask that we move forward with this lease. And that's it. Thank you.
Yeah, I'm really glad, Mr. Blumenfield, that you brought this up. I am as angry as you. I can't even comprehend this, but I do have a question. So you're going through some form of an investigation. So what happens? You find out that they did mess up. What are you going to do? What do we do?
What we can do is, first of all, take an administrative action against the driver should the allegations be.
It's just the driver. It's not.
Well, at first, we have to deal with address the driver issue specifically, and we're also developing an administrative an action plan that will address training and education and such. And we're also going to go through all our for all the drivers, and we're also going to make sure that we have a thorough investigation of all our administrative records to see if there were any other incidents of this sort that need to be addressed.
So
as well.
right now, if somebody else did something similar to this driver, there's nothing in place. Well, it relates to, as you refer to it, as an action plan.
Well, there is.
Because I thought I heard you say that in the agreement that you can't select who you want to service or not, or I can't remember.
That's correct. Denial of service to any rider is not allowable under our policy.
Okay, so if there is a denial of service, which is part of the agreement, what happens then?
We can take administrative actions on the driver. We can have a hearing with the driver and take administrative actions.
Okay.
Which is what we're having the hearing this week.
Okay, well, I trust Mr. Blumenfield is not going to let this go. And he's going to make sure that this council is engaged. So with that, I think I will side with you and recommend that we vote for this as well. So, Madam Clerk, why don't we open the roll, close the roll, tabulate the vote.
12 ayes.
Mr. Rue, is it item 28?
28, yes.
Okay.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'd like to thank Councilmember Huizar and Koretz for seconding this important motion. The city adopted an interim control ordinance earlier this year for many unique neighborhoods throughout the city of Los Angeles. Several communities in my own district were not afforded these protections. The recent economic recovery, coupled with the boom in housing prices and a decrease in interest rates, has led to a surge in residential development. I'm standing here today for the protection of 3 district neighborhoods, while allowing homeowners who wish to update their properties to do so within reason, and at the same time discouraging economic speculation and displacement.
Mr. Rue, let me stop you for a minute. Can we have quiet? The side conversations, take them down a little bit or take them in the back. Sorry about that, Mr. Rue. The
Thank you,
floor
Mr.
is yours
President.
again.
I want to especially thank the many leaders and community leaders in Sherman Oaks, Brookside, and Sycamore Square who are highly organized and focused on this immediate goal. The need for consistent and fair rules on mansionization laws throughout the entire city is urgent and past due. I would like to thank the City Planning Department for the expedited efforts to revise the baseline mansionization ordinance. And at this time, I would ask the City Attorney to read the amended language into record, and I urge all my colleagues to take an aye vote. Thank you.
Thank you.
And this is just technical language due to the fact that this is a particular type of ordinance that we don't draft. The language should read, direct the Planning Department with the assistance of the City Attorney's Office to prepare and present the ordinance.
Okay, then let's prepare to vote. Let's open the roll, close the roll, tabulate the vote.
Pardon me, sir.
Yes.
Before doing so, Councilmember Rue, did you wish to move your motion that was submitted previously at last week's meeting as amended by the City Attorney? So this would be recommendation B on the report. No, you don't wish to approve the recommendations of the Planning and Land Use Management Committee. You wanted to approve your motion, which substituted new recommendations.
Yes.
Yeah, very good, sir.
Okay, so do we have to re-vote on that? Open the roll, close the roll, tabulate the vote.
12 ayes.
And so, for clarification, that's as amended.
Okay, item 41, Mr. Spindler. Item 41.
Yes, moving right along. Oh, another lighting district. Again in CD6. They're turning on the lights in CD6. Moving Van Nuys out in Sepulveda and Runnymede out of the darkness and into the light. So now, the young children now, when the sun sets, will be able to walk down Sepulveda Boulevard and be safe from all of the prostitution and the drugs and the illegal gun sales on Sepulveda Boulevard. Yes, I had a dream. Councilwoman Nuri had a dream that all of Sepulveda Boulevard would be safe with new lights, and all the little kids would be able to walk up and down the street without being recruited by the criminal gangs and the pimps and the prostitutes. So yes, we need more lighting, yes.
Okay, let's open the roll, close the roll, tabulate the vote.
12 ayes.
Mr. Clerk, let's go on to item 39.
That's item 39, called Special for Cards.
Item 39, Mr. Eric Previn.
Thank you, Council President Martinez, sitting in for the big guy. This is in CD2. There are two on the agenda today. One's a little ahead of the other. Again, we're looking, this one is for the Peach Grove Street and Cleon Avenue. So if you are interested in that space and you happen to live in that district, it's January 20th, 2016. There'll be a hearing. And it's, unless some of you show up and say, no, we don't want to pay, you're going to be facing some pay. So good luck with that. So that's 30 seconds. Maybe I could just save it if there is time.
Thank you, Mr. Previn. Next speaker, Wayne Spindler. Item 39, sir.
Yes, the pig would like to address the council.
CD number 2 is the streets called Cleon and Peach Grove. No? This is necessary. $425.57 to be collected by unfortunate taxpayers. CD2 is run by Paul Crorian, and it's a very safe place. Very, very rich districts, District 2. Read the Commerce Report by the Chamber of Commerce.
He is not talking about this.
CD number
Mr.
2.
Spindler, I'm going to ask you to please stay on the
CD
subject,
number
sir.
2,
Item
Nori,
39.
does not need lights because it's very, very safe. Vote no on this item. You do not need lights in CD2. You need lights in CD6 where Nuri is.
There are no more cards on this item. Mr. Clerk, open the roll, close the roll, and tabulate the vote.
12 ayes.
Item passes. Next item, item 42.
That's item 42, called special for cards.
Mr. Spindler, item 42. He's passing. Thank you. Let's open the roll, close the roll, and tabulate the vote.
12 ayes.
Item passes. Let's take item 38, Mr. Clerk.
Very good, Madam President. That's item 38, called special for Councilmember Blumenfield.
Mr. Blumenfield.
Yes, thank you. I had a question that I was asking Housing during committee, and they said they would have an answer for me by the time of council. I haven't heard that answer, so I wanted to have Housing come forward.
Is the Housing Department here?
With them? And the CAO?
And who else are you requesting, sir?
The CAO,
The
please.
CAO's office, are you here? Can you please step forward to the table?
So this is the FSR, and during committee I was talking about the Family Source Center. The RFP is out. I'm concerned that they haven't identified funding in Canoga Park. And during the committee, you all were saying we'd have an answer about that because as you know, the Family Source Centers are extremely important for all of our communities, and I guess there are two that are potentially not going to receive funding unless we find another revenue source. And we wanted to figure out where we were in that process.
Yeah, absolutely. Ed Gibson, Housing Community Investment Department. I'll try to answer that question as best I can. Part of the challenges with the Family Source and a number of other programs is they're specifically federally funded, and either through a state CSBG or the federal CDBG program, for which we have limits and caps. So the challenge is the amount of money is set. So we have to augment it with some other source that actually has to reside outside of the department. So we would clearly need the assistance of council and CAO to help us identify, as in last budgets, additional general fund monies or other types of things, other funds. We have had multiple conversations, particularly with the county, to see where we can partnership there to perhaps enhance and stretch those dollars. We're also taking a look to see within specific areas where we've identified where we would need to make the cuts in order to keep the system functioning, if you will, limiting the number of units, seeing what specific services are being most utilized in those areas, and perhaps we can find a way to target those and still maintain them in the area. And so those are the kind of conversations we're having now with the help of CAO.
Okay. Well, I'm very worried that there's no Family Source Center anywhere west of the 405 in the valley, and as I understand, the other one that's going to be cut is also the only place west of the 405 in the metro region. So there's a lot of area that depends on this. So I guess I would ask that we direct the CAO for the next FSR to identify either general fund allocation or an appropriate allocation for that next FSR. I don't want to hold up this FSR, but I am very worried about this funding being cut. There's a lot of vulnerable people rely on this. And so without objection, Madam Chair, I'd like to ask that be included in the FSR direction, seconded by my colleague, Mr. Bonin.
Okay, very well.
Direction CAO to identify those funds.
Second by Mr. Bonin.
Very good, sir.
Any other questions, members? Thank you. Let's open the roll, close the roll, and tabulate the vote.
12 ayes.
And Madam President, that's as amended.
As amended. Thank you very much. Let's move on to item 2.
Item 2, call special for cards.
Mr. Wayne Spindler, item 2.
Okay. Yes, it's very hard to find these items we're moving around here. Oh, yes. Yes, there's 2 companies, Gemini Basketball LLC. Vote no on the lien against Gemini Basketball. You have to have basketball. I mean, the Lakers are starting tonight on their season opener. So in the name of the Lakers and the new NBA season, forgive the lien against Gemini Basketball LLC. And then United Medical Imaging Healthcare, $135,000 lien. Oh, come on. We just did the budget. They got $7.1 billion in the cash reserve for the city. Can't you forgive this little tiny lien for a mere $135,447.99? Come on, Nuri, you can do it. Forgive these liens against these good companies.
Next speaker, Mr. Walsh. Good morning, sir. Item 2.
Good morning. John Walsh, blogging at HollywoodHighlands.org or J. Walsh Confidential, tweeting at Hollywood Dems. Here, again, these are liens, which means that the government city is going to go in and just take the money out of their bank account for unpaid taxes. Remember, these are the fools. Gemini Basketball, United Medical Imaging Healthcare. If you don't want to pay these liens, just make campaign contributions and office holder accounts contributions to the proper city councilmen up here, and the liens will either be reduced or forgiven. That's the way it works. But unfortunately, United Medical Imaging Healthcare didn't do it, and they're going to have to pay $135,000. HollywoodHighlands.org.
There are no more cards on this item. Let's open the roll, close the roll, and tabulate the vote.
12 ayes.
Next item, item 22.
Item 22, call special for cards.
Mr. Spindler, item 22. He's passing. Byron Barajas, item 22. Are you here?
All right. So I hope that Mr. Harris Dawson clarified this situation with you guys. On the day when I announced this measure, Harris Dawson had no clue that this was even taking place. So I hope this was resolved, and I hope that you guys work together more closely. And I do believe that the staff members of your of the council should take initiative in reading the agenda before you take any initiative, and avoid any embarrassments. So,
thank you, sir. Next speaker, Patricia McAllister. Good morning, ma'am. Item 22.
Good morning. I'd like to see more housing built in African American communities. We need to get these illegal aliens out of affordable housing, and I think some of this $16 million might be going to them. And for rehabilitation and improvement of a scattered sites multi-family affordable housing project collectively called the Watts Athens Village. So this is number 22 I'm reading. And I think that because you break into this country and have a baby, you should not be entitled to affordable housing. We as taxpayers are paying for that affordable housing. We have black people, 30,000 homeless are on the street in Los Angeles, 90% are black. Who's in the affordable housing? The illegal aliens and their fourth generation of children. I ask everyone to please vote for President Trump so that we can get these illegals out of this nation. We cannot have a nation of illegals running this country. And I say that no, we don't approve of this, because if you take a survey of this community, you'll see that it's 99% illegal aliens. I've been in this area before. I know who live there. They've run black people out of this city.
Ms. McAllister,
Thank you.
Thank you. We have to speak on the issue, ma'am. There are no more cards on item 22. Mr. Clerk, can you open the roll? Close the roll and tabulate the vote.
12 ayes.
Item passes. We're moving on to item 1.
And Madam President, there's been requests to continue item 1C to November 18 and item 1H to November 13.
Very well. I have cards on item 1. Mr. Spindler, item 1. You have 1 minute left, sir.
Yes, the pig wanted to talk on this, but we look at these liens, illegal liens, every one of them. But today, at least in CD6, we did have one that's going to be resolved. But to all these other people, you need to get down here, show up to the council, accidentally drop $100 out of your pocket on the 4th floor, just accidentally. And then you will see these liens go away or be reduced to nothing. It's a pay-to-play city, as one city person said here earlier. There's just too many of these liens. I don't know. Shame on you, David Rue, 1A, CD4. You should forgive that lien. You got to pay attention to detail. And, of course, we have CD1, 502 South Avenue 17 for a lousy $418. That should be forgiven. That was probably already paid.
Thank you. Next speaker, Mr. Walsh, on item 1.
John Walsh, blogging at HollywoodHighland.org, or J. Walsh Confidential, tweeting at Hollywood Dems. You do a fairly good job building and safety. My exposure to building and safety has always been positive. And nuisance abatement costs, well, these are landlord nuisance abatements. And all these liens are against landlords. Some of them are unfair, and some of them are fair. And West Crescent Heights, $2,621.37. But we have told you, and anybody who watches here knows for a fact that if you are a landlord and you receive a lien north San Fernando Road, and you come down here and you protest it, your city councilman's deputy will be over here to the side. You'll talk to them, and a deal will be made, and your lien will be reduced or will be disappear. Because, as you see, they'll say, well, this is continued. Well, you notice nobody comes back and says, this is the second time I'm here on the lien. You jerked me off. No. If you have a lien and you come down here, the lien will be reduced. If you're foolish enough not to come down here, the lien will not be reduced and you'll have to pay it. Now, anybody who watches this show here knows that's what happens. I'm still waiting for someone to come up here and say, this is my second time here on my lien, and you did nothing for me last time. HollywoodHighlands.org.
Next speaker, Patricia McAllister, on item 1.
Good morning, madam. I estimate about 2,000 homes are taken from Los Angeles residents a year by this council. The United States is in the worst economic condition that it has been in since the Great Depression. And you guys sit up here and take people's homes for $300 and $400. I've had people heard people speak here saying they paid fines. They shouldn't even have a lien. So you need to send letters out to people and have them come in to meet with a representative just to even make sure these liens are valid. And if they're not valid, work something out with them, a payment plan or something. We have 30,000 people on the street already. We don't need to put 40 or 50,000 more a year on the street, and this council is doing nothing but putting down liens. Here for $526 at 829 North McDougal Avenue. Here's one for $526 at 8289 North San Fernando Road. Like the last gentleman said, come down here, people, and find out what's going on. I've talked to people who are here, or who come here for these liens, and they don't know anything about this. And I told them they should have been here earlier. So don't be afraid of your politicians. We elect these people. Only 20% of us are voting anyway. Come down here and speak to you. They won't hurt you. They won't bite you. They won't do anything. We can put them in the unemployment line if we vote them out of office. And I say,
Ma'am, I need you to stay on the subject. This is on
okay, I'll stay on the subject. Thank you, madam. Now, I think that this is part of communism. When you take the land of the people, we need to give these people a chance to keep their properties. Send out letters. Send someone even to their homes and knock on doors. I did that before in Chicago. I got a list of these and knocked on a few doors. One lady I told the lady, I said, do you know your house is on the demolition list? You know what she told me? She said, well, I just haven't paid my property taxes. We could work something out with these people.
Thank you. There are no more speakers on item 1. Let's vote on the remaining balance. Mr. Clerk, open the roll, close the roll, and tabulate the vote.
10 ayes.
Item passes. We're moving on to item 30.
And Madam President, for item 30, amending motion 30A has been circulated.
Very well. I have two cards on this item. Antonia Ramirez, are you here? Good morning, ma'am. Item 30.
Good morning. Thank you. We can't squander $23.6 million on racist, hate-mongering wetbacks and Chango Latino gang-banging pussies. And so to make sure that the Housing Committee only rents out housing to first and foremost United States military veterans and pilots, many of them are also military, and to legal law-abiding senior citizens and legal law-abiding baby boomers. For we must monitor not only the expenditures, but the Housing Committee and their cohorts. We have illegally subsidizing housing, jobs, welfare, and free education to these despicable, racist, hate-mongering wetbacks. It's time to get these people off the streets and start bringing them into proper housing. Hold the Housing Committee agency under scrutiny. Find out and see how they are actually spending this money. We've got to hold them to every penny. And again, I suggest people read the book, America on the Brink. Again, please read the book, America on the Brink. So having said that, please, this is imperative. There's a lot of lost money. There's a lot of misplaced money. There's a lot of mismanaged money. And again, it's we are holding you accountable, every single one of you. And again, we need to use that money wisely, prudently, and account for every penny. Please, let's get these people off the streets of military. I'll stand aside for a military veteran to get housed. Please. And that's all I'm asking. Again, please do vote for Donald Trump, El Jefe, because he will help the United States military veterans and homeless legal senior citizens.
That's not
and
part
he
of this
will
item.
deport all the wetbacks and the gangbangers.
Thank
please.
you, Ms. Ramirez. Thank you. Thank you very much. Next speaker is Patricia McAllister, item 30, ma'am. And ma'am, you have 1 minute left. If you have a minute left on the clock.
1 minute?
Yes.
I thought I'd get 2 minutes
Thank
for this.
1 minute, and it's on item 30. So I'm going to ask you to
Okay,
please stay
item
on
30 is
the
very dear
item.
to me. The CDBG, that's a Community Development Block Grant. For people who don't know, I have the letter from HUD. The CDBG program works to ensure decent, affordable housing to provide services for the most vulnerable people in our communities. Well, HUD sent you guys a letter February 5th, 2015. Los Angeles is currently in violation of the regulatory requirement. The city is now on a one-year probationary period during which it must submit a workout plan and quarterly reports. What the city did was they let $77.3 million, I'm talking about you guys, that you didn't spend, and HUD has put you on a one-year probationary period. That money was supposed to go to housing, it was supposed to pay people's rent, and you're not doing what you're supposed to do. I have a copy of the letter. I know what I'm talking about. So I know the game. You're purposely putting people on the street. You're getting money and not using it for the people. You're putting it in banks, letting it sit there so that you can hopefully steal it one day. I know the game. I'm from Chicago. I know the game. We made the game.
Thank you. Thank you, Ms. McAllister. There are no more cards on item 30. Mr. Clerk, open the roll, close the roll, and tabulate the vote.
10 ayes.
And Madam President, that's 30A as amended.
Correct. 30A as amended. Let's move on to item 46.
46 called special for cards.
Mr. Walsh? 46, sir.
John Walsh, blogging at HollywoodHighlands.org. This is relative to issuing a revocable permit to the Arts District Community Council. This concerns a pedestrian bridge and waiver of damages that release the city from any liability for damages. So they're going to build a hazardous bridge, but the city will have a waiver of damages, which means if you're injured on the bridge, you'll have to sue the bridge builder. This is the Bureau of Engineers to report 9 months on the results of the Los Angeles River Revitalization Plan. People have the Mississippi River. Here we have our little L.A. River, which isn't even, it's a drainage ditch.
Next speaker, Wayne Spindler on item 46. Mr. Spindler, you have 1 minute left.
Yes, the revocable permit. As a pig, I only urge when I cross the bridge that please have liability insurance in case I slip and fall, in case any other pigs slip and fall, that they have the insurance.
Mr. Spindler, we need you to stay on topic, sir. 46.
In case they slip and fall from people like Bokra Kori and making de facto bridges. So, this has to be a temporary level of water monitoring so pigs do not drown when they cross
Mr. Spindler,
under the
we're done.
bridges.
Thank you, sir. Next speaker, Byron Barajas. Mr. Barajas, are you here? You're next. Item 46.
All right. When I read this, I needed to read it a little bit more carefully. This will be for an installation of 4 water level monitoring sensors. Now, this will probably be maybe in connection with the drought, or in general, you might be just measuring it for general purposes. And then you have another indication that any damages sustained by the installation of these monitoring devices will not, you would not be liable for repairs or damages or anything like that. Then there will be a report coming back in 9 months by the Bureau of Engineering, which would give you the results of this with the Los Angeles River Revitalization Master Plan. Okay, fine. Water. We need a lot of water.
Thank you. Next speaker, Eric Previn on item 46.
Thank you, Council Member Martinez. It is Eric Previn from CD2. And this is an interesting item, obviously. We're trying to get a 9-month look at the flow in our river, in particular in the 4 districts that we adore in the Arts District, I guess, which is CD 1, of course, the great CD2, my district, 13 and 14. So Mr. Rue is involved in this as well, I think. Or no, maybe that's not his district. In any case, my question is, how much does this cost? I mean, we don't have any flow, and we're going to have a lot of flow in 9 months. So if this is to show that we have a lot of water, so as we seek, our big rollout of the river, which Mr. O'Farrell will be dancing about momentarily, obviously we want to get that thing going. What we don't want to do is waste a lot of money. So the question is, why is the Arts District Council involved in this kind of an engineering project? Because whenever I see money moving over to the NoHo Arts Council, I get very, very concerned, naturally, as a resident of that area. So what it's supposed to do is it's going to measure the depth in the river at different points in the flow depth they call it, which is key. The ADCC proposes to mount monitoring devices on city-owned bridges, which is appropriate. And by the way, this technology is used in other places, Commissioner Wesson. Information from the sensors will then be transmitted remotely, so we can get our IT folks excited about that and incorporate it into an algorithm that will then predict the potentially hazardous. Now, how in the world we're going to predict? We know that if it rains a lot, it's dangerous, get out of there. I just hope this is not an expensive rollout of computer technology for Bureau of Engineering that's housed in the NoHo Arts District. Please tell me that that's not what this is. Please tell me that this is a very inexpensive, appropriate way to just simply gauge the flow during what is going to be the historic El Nino. Actually, aren't there other people who look at this? Doesn't DWP have any sense of how much water is running through the river, or doesn't anybody pay attention to that? Isn't Frank Geary available to give us a sense of what he thinks? Thanks.
Thank you, Mr. Previn. Next speaker, Antonio Ramirez. And Ms. Ramirez, just a friendly reminder, this is item 46.
Yes, thank you very much. This is a motion by council members Mitch O'Farrell, Gilbert Cedillo, Paul Krikorian, and Jose Huizar. Before you talk out of your asses because you have no experience and no knowledge and always base your conclusions erroneously, and before you authorize the city attorney and the city engineers to issue a revocable permit in allowing the temporary installations of 4 water level monitoring sensors over the LA River and the Tahanga Avenue Bridge and the Riverside Drive Bridge and the Arroyo Seco Channel pedestrian bridge, first check with the Army Corps engineers. Again, first check with the Army Corps engineers before you remove any equipment at any time, because there may be repercussions. So again, let's not talk out of our asses. Let's double check with the real experts, and that's the military. Hoorah! And again, we know that the Army Corps engineers are overseeing the LA River. So, and how we may use it down the line as a viable way to move transportation or people, move people down the river. The wetbacks and gangbangers we should move them down the river. But anyway, having said that, so please, again, this is a good motion. But again, I really think that we should have the Army Corps engineers review anything and everything from the inception to the end of the project. So having said that, do vote for Donald Trump, El Jefe, and he will restore America.
Ms.
God bless America.
Thank you very much. And that concludes cards for item 46. Mr. Clerk, let's open the roll, close the roll, and tabulate the vote.
10 ayes.
Item passes. Sergeants, we're going to prepare the council chambers for closed session on item 48.
All right, we're back in open session. Mr. Clerk, where are we now on the agenda?
Mr. President, that takes council to general public comment for items not on council's agenda.
Okay, Ruth Sarnoff, Jimmy Lazama, Mr. Previn, Lourdes Huerta. Please, when I call your name, just come on.
Lourdes will be speaking Spanish and I'll be translating.
Okay.
Buenos días, señores concejales. Good morning, council members.
Yo represento a la comunidad del sur del centro de Los Ángeles.
So I'm here representing my community of South Central Los Angeles.
Me gustaría que me escucharan los concejales, que tuviéramos un poco de respeto, porque yo también así me dirijo con mis hijos, que nos escuchen.
And she would just like for the council members present to please be present and hear her out.
Yo represento a la mamá, a la clase obrera.
So I represent mothers and the working class poor of my community.
A las que trabajamos en la costura.
The garment workers.
A los esposos.
The husbands.
Que llevamos a nuestra mesa el pan de cada día.
That we bring, that bring the bread and meals we share every day.
Nosotros estamos preocupados, pero a la vez estamos un poco tristes porque no se nos ha escuchado. Hay un proyecto para nuestra comunidad RIT.
So I'm here because I'm both sad and disappointed. There's a project coming up in my neighborhood called The Reef.
Nosotros queremos que ese proyecto se realice porque sabemos que vamos a ser beneficiados.
So we're here because we want a voice in the process of this project.
Pero estamos preocupados porque ese proyecto.
Her time is up, so let her finish her sentence.
Estamos preocupados porque ese proyecto va a venir a perjudicarnos porque ustedes saben que la clase obrera ganamos el mínimo $3.60. Entonces las viviendas se van a subir.
Okay, that's a long sentence.
Very long. In summary, what she's saying is she knows as this project comes into her neighborhood, she knows it's going to put pressures in rents, and most of the folks living in the surrounding area make minimum wage, or if not that.
So thank you. Her time is expired, and thank her for coming down. Ms. Sornoff, Jimmy Lazama, Mr. Previn, are you here? Come on down. Is it Gabriel Garcia? Start his time, Alan.
Okay. Hold on for 1 second. Hi, it's Eric Previn, a resident from CD2, sir. And I was just speaking with the Ethics Commission. I'm trying to get a handle on the way we do the public matching money down here at City Hall. And for some reason, they are very opaque about the process. And, I asked for some public records. They were confusing and hard to understand. Nonetheless, in my district, there was no debate, as anybody will tell you, including the newspapers. And yet, $44,000 of money was cashed by the incumbent character. It does not seem proper to me, sir, and I'm looking for an avenue whereby that can be dealt with appropriately. I mean, you are pushing me right out the door. I don't understand it. That said, Council Rule 93, sir, means everybody appears the same size so it can be heard fair and square. Okay? Can you do that finally? I've asked you multiple times. I've asked Justin. I've asked your whole team, and I think that they understand what needs to happen, including Ted Lynn, Ted Ross. All these guys know that it's an easy fix. So thank you.
Thank you. Sean Murphy, again, I'm looking. Yeah, Gabrielle?
Yes.
Yes. And then, Sean, you're after her?
Good morning. My name is Gabriela Garcia. I'm a senior community organizer with SAGE Strategic Actions for a Just Economy. I'm also part of the Unidad Coalition, United Neighbors in Defense Against Displacement. We're here because we have been multiple times to Mr. Curran Price's office to bring a letter asking for an extension for the environmental impact report that was presented. It's a 3,000-page document related to the Reef project. We're asking for more time. It's a 3,000-page document. This is only 800 pages, and we're asking, and we're bringing here for the record a petition of more than 200 signatures of residents and community organizations supporting the expansion of the comment period. We feel that the community needs to ensure that we truly understand this very technical report and ensures that the different considerations of the impacts of displacement, of rent burden, also are considered in the process. And we wish Mr. Price was in the room so he could hear us out.
Thank you. So if I could get, please come forward after you, Ruth Sarnoff and Jimmy Lazama. Yes, go ahead.
I'd like to wish my fans happy Halloween and set your clocks back. We go back to standard. Keep the sidewalks clean. All the apartment buildings should clean their gutters because the rain's coming. It's not a joke. Thanks.
Thank you. If I could get Mr. Walsh, Mr. Barajas, and Mr. Mohammed.
I want everybody to go to Jasmine Canick, C-A-N-N-I-C-K, blog right now. This is a woman, a black woman, that the vicious, vile, racist city attorney, Mike Feuer, is decided to prosecute. On December 15th, the trial begins. She's not even a member of Black Lives Matter, but the entire Ferguson demonstrations, only one person was indicted, this black woman. Why? Because she is the one that has 100% infiltrated the LAPD. She's the one who told everybody that Garcetti was coming back to Holman. She let it be known, and his little white Jewish ass ran away because he was afraid of the black woman. You are all racists as you try to put a black woman in prison.
Thank
Scumbag.
you. Thank you, Mr. Barajas. You're disrupting, Mr. Walsh. Mr. Barajas, and then Mr. Mohammed.
Okay. On our LaRouche PAC website, you can see New Silk Road economic development hits depressed D.C. Yesterday, the wife of Linda LaRouche, Helga Zepp LaRouche, along with former Senator Mike Gravel, the person who read the Pentagon Papers, who's working with us now, have released this press conference yesterday, attended by more than 30 embassies from around the world. The reason I bring this up is because we need to really inject optimism. I think a lot of people have been, I don't know what you would call it, but they have a really bad idea of how to look at human beings on this planet. I think some people have been subjected to hating people, whether they're immigrants or citizens. I think we're leading in the realization of the future.
Okay, Mr. Mohammed, Yvonne, Michelle Autry, and Henry Marine.
Yes, my name is Oscar Muhammad. I speak for the press, I speak for the struggling poor, and I speak for cultural change. We should, our freedom and liberty have been violated. Our state liberty have been violated. Our religious liberty have been violated. Our legislators have separate our religion from our politics. We should end Skid Row. We should end Black America off of Skid Row. We should find some type of wasteland in Bakersfield and put the Black Americans in tents and let them live, away from the city and beautify down Los Angeles, beautify our area much better than what it is. We should end this capitalist government we're living in. And this political system that we have must come to an end. We should find a way to make the wealth share freely, more, circulate more better to the people that really need it for a better success and a better tomorrow. We should find a way to turn it to the Creator more in these end times.
Thank you. So, Miss Autry, Mr. Marine, and Miss McAllister.
Thank you. I'd like to really applaud this sister. You know, and encourage her to continue to speak. I have been saying that homelessness is engineered for years, and all you people say about me is I'm a crazy crackhead, whore in the street. The police haven't been able to murder me yet. To cover up what you're really doing in engineering, that's called civil engineering. And I'd also like to expose what MK Ultra, which was a CIA report, has exposed, not only in engineering homelessness, but the mind control techniques and the experiments perpetrated not only on homeless people and in prisons, women like me, covering up the sex trafficking, mass manipulation techniques that you're using to try to perfect mind control. We're not energy sources. These are covert experiments, just like Tuskegee, changing men into women, black women into men. Implants. We're not sex goddesses. We're not crackheads. We're not to be used for your energy sources.
Thank you, Mr. Marine.
Ultra.
Thank you, Mr. Marine, Miss McAllister, Mr. Harrison.
Yes, the Divine Nine, sitting here in this console, are fully aware that the money sheltered from pay of city, Hackler, and county employees in per diem vesting positions is now sitting in union bank accounts and city bank accounts. Now, we learned on October 26, 2010, that any money sheltered from the pay of a public employee has to be turned over to a public employee benefit fund administrator to provide a benefit that is defined and equal to the sum taken. So what is your problem? Where's the city attorney? We ain't got no city attorney here. Y'all working without guidance? What the hell's wrong here? City attorney told y'all, there he is, all right. 5 years ago, you told them on October 26th that it is illegal to shelter money from pay of public employees and not turned over to benefit fund administrators. And we know none of that money has been turned over to benefit fund administrators. And we learned it's sitting in union bank accounts on October 26, 2015.
Thank you. Thank you. So, Ms. McAllister, Mr. Harrison, and Mr. Spindler.
The city received from HUD $140.9 million in April of 2014. I have the facts and the letter. In January of 2015, the mayor, which is Garcetti, which we should vote out of office, he had not spent $77.3 million, which is 55% of that money. 55%. We have 30,000 people homeless in Los Angeles. 29,000 are black people. I say to all of you, either you do the right thing or get out of office, because God's not going to take this mess. He's not going to take it. When he send me out, it's time to move. I don't bother nobody. I'm very quiet. I don't. But when he tell me to move, it's time. That's your message, because I've seen people fall by the wayside messing with me. And when he send me to speak, you better listen. I say get on out or do the right thing.
Okay, Mr. Harrison, followed by Mr. Spindler. 1 minute is not enough. You're disrupting, Miss Autry. Please take a seat. Yes,
day.
sir.
Good day. I'm not here to try to bring any problems against the city council. I have respect for everyone here. But I would like to know concerning my innovations that I had given you guys in order to help the traffic, the roads, to rebuild it, then with recycled material. I never heard anything from you guys concerning that. Even with revitalizing the earth, my certain innovation for that. Reverend Jesse Jackson, Al Sharpton. I have written you guys so many times, have sent you so much money, and you have failed to represent me. And situations continually to happen. Reverend Jesse Jackson, you will run to other blacks that's very wealthy when they get into problems, but I've been a street soldier trying to represent myself and my family and my kids for many years. And you guys have not done anything but take it from me, Reverend Jesse Jackson. I want a change with what's going on. Not you, city council members, but Reverend Jesse Jackson and Al Sharpton. You have taken from me and caused my life to be destroyed. Thank you very much.
Okay, Mr. Spindler.
Scumbags, DWP, 4% rate hike, Jill Barad, scumbag. I filed my claim against that department May 2014. They have never answered me. Pay me, goddammit. $200,000, pay me. And stop fucking around and telling me that it doesn't exist. And I look at you guys. You don't have 10 people here in a quorum. You get up and leave. Your chairs automatically vote yes. That's what the kids saw today. They looked at you, and they saw, and they were counting, because they can count, and they know the votes don't match the people in the chairs. You can't have a city on automatic corruption. David Rue, that's what you were elected for. Point it out to this guy. The criminal in chief up there, Herb Wesson Jr., is taking the city into an abyss.
Thank you. Okay, that concludes general public comment. No. Oh, I didn't see your card, but I know it's somewhere. Please, Ms. Ramirez, come forward. I apologize for that. I must have misplaced it.
Thank you. This is regarding the Music Center Grand Park malfeasance, Part 2, regarding public safety violations. Today there was no toilet papers at the Grand Park females bathroom, and again, no seat covers. Then they plug up. The wetbacks and the gangbangers plug up and vandalize the toilets, causing them to overflow with feces, urine, and causing them to be temporarily out of order. Next, then there's a diarrhea, feces, urine all over the toilet seats, and floors and walls. Next, the wetbacks and the Chango Latina gangbangers don't flush the toilets or clean up after themselves. They are filthy, scummy pigs. Asco. The next, the wetback housekeeping department deliberately leave the trash can receptacles unlocked so that the gang criminal rings and stalkers can go through the trash. Next, the Chango Wetback Housekeeping Department, when cleaning, also passes over many of the markers put on the ground throughout the Grand Park by these Latino Chango gangs and gang stalkers to signify actions needed to be done, already done, against the targeted victims. God bless Donald Trump.
Thank you, Ms. Ramirez. And again, I apologize for misplacing your card. Okay, Mr. Clerk, what further business is before this body?
Mr. President, Council has motions for posting and referral.
They are posted and referred.
The desk is clear.
Okay, announcements. Members' announcements. I do not see any announcements. If I could ask everyone to please rise for adjourning motions. Please rise for adjourning motions. And I will look to Mr. Weezar's side. I'm looking to my right. Mr. Krikorian.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. Members, I'd ask that the Council adjourn this meeting in memory of Nick Pappas, one of our nation's greatest generation, a World War II veteran, a proud and longtime supporter of the University of Southern California. He was known as Mr. Trojan. Nick Pappas was a player, a coach, an associate athletic director, and a longtime supporter of USC. He was born in 1916, started as a tailback for USC under Howard Jones, and from 1938 to 39 actually played professional football for the then Hollywood Bears. He served our country in the United States Navy during World War II, where he earned a Purple Heart and a Silver Star for his service and his courage. He came back to USC after the war, served as an assistant coach, and helped lead the Trojans to the 1954 Rose Bowl game. He founded the Trojan Club Athletic Booster Organization and worked very hard for decades raising money for the university and connecting the community with the university. In 1997, Nick Pappas was inducted into the USC Athletic Hall of Fame and received USC's Alumni Service Award. He's survived by his daughters, Lisa Widman and Mona Pappas, as well as 5 grandchildren, many great-grandchildren, and lots of friends and colleagues from the extended USC family. His wife of 66 years, Dee Dee, and his daughter, Renee Arobio, both passed away before he did. We will all miss Nick Pappas, and we extend our best wishes to his family, and may he rest in peace. His services are pending, but the family encourages his friends and well-wishers to donate to the USC Nick Pappas Football Scholarship at USC.
Thank you, Mr. Krikorian. Okay, now I'm going to move to the left side. Mr. Blumenfield, your side. I don't see any members. We'll see you on Friday. This meeting is adjourned.